Rebel, I'm hopping on Discord. I'll be back in a little bit, all right? God bless, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate it. I want to welcome you to episode number 2 of Learning Life and Leadership. I want to bring some new content to you guys every single week, helping us as gamers grow and get better so we can continue to make a better world around us, reaching gamers, encouraging gamers, and bringing a positive culture change to the gaming community. Why is it important for you and I to grow so that we can influence those around us? I say this all the time, that I've given my life. I've given my life to serve and encourage the gaming community. But I'm only one man. And by myself, I can only accomplish so much. But if we can grow and learn and change the world together, alone we can make a dent, but together we can make a difference. So I want to do my best every single week to bring profitable content to you on things that where we can learn and grow in our lives. I want to bring tons of leadership content. But when I throw on the leadership, some of you might say, well, you know, I'm not a boss. I don't run a business. I'm not in any kind of, I don't have the title of a leader. Can I tell you that at every single one of us at a one point in our lives, you are going to experience some form of leadership, whether it's, you know, being a husband where you're leading your family, being a mother where you're leading, you know, your children and your family, whether you're a friend and your friend is going through a difficult season of life and you want to lead them through finding health and restoration, whatever season they're going on in their life. Or maybe you are leading a business. Maybe you are leading some kind of ministry. Maybe you're a captain of your football team. These principles are not only going to be about leadership, but about helping us grow in our lives in general, relationships, whatever it may be. Maybe you're a coach in your football team. Maybe you're a captain in your football team. I want to do my best every single week to help us grow as gamers and grow as leaders so together we can make a difference in this gaming community. I want to do my best today, improving from last week. I asked you guys to give me some feedback, and I want to take that feedback, and some of the feedback you guys gave last week was to try to cut down the content. I'm going to do my best to keep it today to around the 20-minute mark and give you guys the most amount of content I can in the shortest amount of time. Today, we're starting a 2-week episode called 6 Types of Leaders. I want to give a great shout out to an amazing leader by the name of Craig Groeschel, who teaches some of the content that I'm about to dive into with you today. Going to talk about 3 different types of leaders today, and next week, the other 3 different types of leaders. I want to give a huge shout out to him. He releases a great leadership podcast every single, I believe it's the 3rd Thursday of the month. Incredible leader, is a pastor of a very large church. Special shout out to him. He was the first pastor to ever really develop the idea of having church online. Obviously, we're different to where we're only online. They do have a physical building, but incredible content to him. So a lot of the content that we're teaching today is content that I learned from him. Somebody might say, Susie, did you just admit that you're taking content that you learned somewhere and going to teach it to us? I can tell you, that's leadership. You're learning, you're teaching. Whatever you're taking in, you are giving out. We talked about this last week, right? We talked about 3 things that a leader does. And one of them was that leaders learn daily. As a leader, you're getting better. Why? The best thing you can do as a leader is to get better, because when you get better, you can help others get better. And here's the reality. Leaders need to be humble. So I have absolutely no problem saying, yeah, I learned this somewhere, and now I want to be able to give you content to help benefit and bless you. I'm not here to better my ego. I'm not here to better my reputation that people think I'm smart on my own. No, I'm learning. I'm intentionally getting better. I'm not here to make myself look better. I'm here to help you get better. So I want to encourage you. We're going to try to do this in 20 minutes or less. Another improvement we're doing from last week is you guys had asked if you could get the notes right away. And I want to encourage you. I've got a link for you in the chat if you guys want to look along with some of these notes that we're sharing in the chat. Right now, I'll get that for you. If you guys want to keep those to reference at a later date. I will say this, I've never been in a position where I've made my notes public. So I'm trying to do my best to make my notes organized, clean, and the most efficient as I can. I'm going to be getting better at it, and the better I get, the more beneficial these notes will be for every single one of you. Last week, recapping, we talked about really introductory, what I really believe that it means for us to be a leader. 3 important things, recapping real quick, that leaders, what do? They lead genuinely. They're themselves. They're not trying to be somebody else. They're not trying to fake it till they make it. They're genuine. Craig Groeschel says this, that people would rather follow a leader who's always real than one who's always right. They lead genuinely. They learn daily. They're growing. They're spending time every day getting better, practicing, reading, watching videos, getting better. Why? Because when the leader gets better, everybody gets better. They lead genuinely. They learn daily, and they love deeply. John Maxwell says that leadership is influence. It's all about people. All about people. If you don't love the people that you're leading, then you're not actually leading people. You're just concerned with getting tasks done. Nobody wants to follow a leader who doesn't care about them. Today, I want to talk about, like I said, in 2 parts. Thank you to Craig Rochelle for the material. About 6 different types of leaders. Today, we're going to talk about what it looks like to be an unpredictable leader, a domineering leader, a secretive leader. The next week, we're going to talk about a passive leader, a healthy leader, and an empowering leader. Some of you might have run into these kind of leaders as we're talking through them today, and some of you might be able to relate and say, yeah, I've definitely known someone like that. And I don't want to say anything we're saying today to make any of us feel condemned. What I want us to learn is that sometimes we have a habit to fall into these categories. Let's confront it. Let's be honest about it. Hey, sometimes I have those tendencies. What are we going to do? We're going to get better. We're going to confront it. We're going to grow. We're going to get better. Leader number 1, sometimes leaders can be unpredictable. I put in bold there for you if you're clicking on the notes, that an unpredictable leader can sometimes produce hesitant followers. What do I mean by unpredictable? Maybe you've run into those kind of leaders where you never know what they're going to do. You never know what they're going to do. They say one thing and they do another. Can I be honest? There were times in my leadership where I have fallen into this. I'm a big dreamer. I've got dreams for days. When I'm driving in my car, I'm thinking, how can we do things better? How can we do things better? And honestly, in my time, I've had to learn how to tone it down a little bit to understand that, one, you can't accomplish all of your dreams and goals all at once. You've got to be able to dream big, but start small. So, okay, let's set a goal. I've got a big dream team. Let's accomplish just one thing, and then we'll move on to the next. I've had the problem of doing this in the past where I'm like, guys, let's do this, and you throw out so many ideas. The reality is it's not possible to get them all done at the same time, especially if you're working alone or with a small team. And then what happens is you begin to become unpredictable because, hey, man, you presented us with like 37 ideas the other day. I mean, last year, but we really only accomplished 2. So what does that do? Now, every single time you present a new idea, your team and the people that are behind you, they're kind of like, yeah, here's another great idea. Wonder if we're ever actually going to get to this one. And I'll be honest, I've actually been guilty of this, and I've had to get better at kind of toning it down. Hey, you know what? Let's learn to be predictable, and let's learn to be consistent. You see, I added my own, these are my own notes that I wrote with some of the things that I learned from Craig Rochelle, but also put my own spin on them. And I tried to put my own practical tips. So here's the problem, right? We're an unpredictable leader. Where's the tip on how we can get better? Here's one leadership tip. Don't just bring problems, bring solutions. If you see a problem, think of how you can get better. And I want to encourage you, if you find yourself to be someone who's maybe a little bit unpredictable, which I definitely can be at times, but this is something that I'm working on, work on being consistent. When you're being consistent, the people that are looking up to you, the people that are following you, they're going to learn to trust you. Why? Because they'll understand that you're a man or woman of your word. You actually do the things that you say you're going to do. You don't say one thing and just do another. You don't just say, oh, we're going to accomplish this big dream, and then nothing ever kind of happens with it. I've had to learn myself, don't throw out dreams to the people that you're not ready to accomplish. Be consistent. Here's a quote I'm going to read to you, that successful people do consistently what normal people do occasionally. That great leaders, that successful people, they're doing on a regular basis, which is how they've learned, how they've grown, and how they've become successful. They're doing it consistently, regularly, what most people are just kind of doing once in a while. They've got good tips, got good tactics, good strategies for their life. Successful people are doing those consistently. They understand if you want to grow, if you want to get better, you can't just do something once a month. You got to do it every day. They're being consistent. They're being consistent in their actions, and they're being consistent in their communication. Are the things that you're saying lining up with the things that you're doing? I've been guilty of this. This is something that I work on, something that I'm getting better at. not with negative intentions like, oh, I just say things to like fool people. No, but sometimes I dream so much. Solex, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I dream so much that, you know, your head's in the clouds, but really you got to keep your feet on the ground, keep moving forward, and being an unpredictable leader, it's gonna produce hesitant followers. I know he said that, but is he even really gonna do it? I know he wants us all to get on this job, but by next week we'll have forgotten about it. We'll be on to the next thing. As a leader, you don't want to produce hesitant followers. You want followers that can trust you, that can know you're going to be a man of your word, and when you say something, you're actually going to do it. Yo, I'm dead. Good to see you, man. Number 2 of some of these leaders that which at all times some of us can fall into is a domineering leader. Now, if you've ever worked in the workforce, I'll be honest, sometimes I feel in my personal experience that domineering can probably be the most common type of leader. This is the kind of leader, hey, it's my way or it's the highway. People are into coercing you, forcing you, and maybe even trying to instill fear in you. Like, hey, if you don't do that one thing right now, you're fired tomorrow. And they're not building a relationship of trust where you want to follow them. You're just following them out of fear, or because you don't want to lose your job, or because you don't want to get kicked out, or you don't want to be disappointing, whatever it may be. You're not following out of passion. You're following out of compliance. In the bold, it says right there that domineering leaders produce compliant followers. I've been under these kind of people, and it's probably, honestly, one of the most frustrating things, especially when you're under a domineering leader. Some of you are going to relate to this. When you're under a domineering, really kind of boss-like leader who's actually not even really that great at what they do. Right? Normally when you think of a leader, when you think of someone, normally you think that this person has a ton of experience and has really excelled at their job, which is why they ended up landing where they are. You get under those domineering leaders who are pushy, threatening, coercive, and you're like, but dude, you're not even good at your job. Super, super frustrating. But here's the problem with being a domineering leader is that people don't respect you. They just fear you. And there's a world of a difference. Having someone who respects you, has your back, trusts you, wants to serve you, wants to be under you, understands that they can learn from you and they can benefit from simply being around you. That's the goal. Not having people who are afraid of you. Not having people who just don't want to lose their job, don't want to get kicked off the football team, whatever it may be, don't want to be removed from the Thursday night esports practice teams. Domineering leaders, they produce compliant followers. What does that mean? Compliant followers, they just do it to get it done. They're just getting the job done because you told them to. This is going to produce in your kind of people that are following you and around you a lack of passion and a lack of ability to really think for themselves. Essentially, you're actually going to be developing a weak team. Because what's a strong team look like? You've got individual people who can think for themselves. They're exercising their own creativity. They are bringing their own strengths to the table and making the entire team better. But when you're domineering, you're not letting people think for themselves. You're not letting people use their own strengths and their own talents to make the team better. Because here's the reality. As a leader, you've got your strengths, but you're not good at everything. There's certain things that I'm really good at and other things that I'm really bad at. So what do you want to do? You want to surround yourself with people whose strengths are your weaknesses. Essentially, you want to surround yourself with people who are really good at what you suck at. Hey, I'm really horrible at this. Let me bring a guy in my team who's passionate and can get this job done better than I can. But here's what domineering leaders do. They want everything to be done their way. But the reality is their way is not always the best way because they're not good. For example, Unworthy Seraph, he does all of our media and video graphics, and I don't tell him all the details of what he needs to make. Why? Because I'm not good at making graphics, dude. If I was telling him like pixel by pixel how to make a graphic, the graphic would be horrible. Why? Because I'm horrible at making graphics. You want to give your team room to grow. Because here's the reality. Good leaders create followers. Great leaders create other leaders. When you're domineering, you're robbing people of their potential. You're not letting them think. You're not letting them use their gifts. They're just doing exactly what you say and doing things exactly the way you tell them to do. that's not going to create, it's not going to create a strong team. It's going to create strong followers. I will do whatever you say. I'm committed. But remember, the goal is not to create followers. The goal is to create other leaders. You might be creating strong followers, but you're creating weak leaders. Being a domineering leader is also going to create a team of people who, while they're under you, are looking for somewhere else to go. You've had a conversation with someone and they're like, hey, how's your job doing? It's going all right, but I'm looking for somewhere else to go. Why? My boss sucks. You hear it so often. Oh, yeah, I know I'm on this team, but honestly, I'm thinking about backing out because the leadership is horrible, but I can't leave until I can find somewhere to go. You're showing up to work every day, and you're the domineering kind of boss kind of leader, and you're like, and you have no idea that the people that you're telling what to do in the back of their mind, yeah, I'm getting out of here as soon as humanly possible. I'm getting out. I am getting out. Being domineering is going to rob your team of reaching their potential, which is completely against the purpose of leadership. Remember last week, what is leadership? It's influencing. It's influence, helping other people reach their full potential. Domineering is the opposite of doing that. You are robbing people of their potential. I think that domineering can probably be the most toxic kind of leader, and unfortunately, it's probably the most common. Breaks my heart. Domineering leaders are probably the most toxic, but also the most common. You see it all the time. They want it done their way. It's my way or the highway. I want to give you a few tips that I try to practice in my life of how you cannot be a domineering leader. This is things that I've noticed, that I've learned in my experience. One thing that I try to do to my team is, I've got it written in the notes if you're seeing, is that once in a while, I'll allow my team to do something that may not have been my preference, right? So if I'm extending trust to my team and I'm saying, hey man, I trust you, you're good at what you do, you're passionate, I trust you, that's why you're on the team. I want to empower you. Be free to do something that you're doing in your area. And if you've been part of that trust and they come back to you, of course there's going to be times you're going to say, hey, I love it, but I think we can improve it, tweak it, maybe make it a little bit better. But if every single time, like 100% of the time, you're always tweaking their projects, it's going to leave them feeling a little bit defeated. Man, I'm trying my best, but my best is just never good enough for my leader. It's just never, even I think it was so good, he's always got something to say. To be honest, there are times in your position as a leader where I really believe that you've got to give them some leeway. Your team member might bring something to your table for approval, for your look at, and then you might look at it and be like, honestly, in my personal preference, I would probably change a few things, but you know what? But you don't even need to say that. You know what, dude? It's great the way it is. Final approval. You go for it. And although my preference would maybe be to change a few things, I'm going to let my ego aside and I'm going to let my team member win. I'm going to let them win. Because here's the reality. You need to ask yourself, and I've got this written in the notes, when you're in this kind of situation, you got to ask yourself, is my preference the thing that I normally would say, hey, let's change that, improve it, make it a little bit better? Is that thing detrimental to the team, to the culture, to the organization? Is that little decision detrimental to our cause, or is it just detrimental to my ego? This is big. I want you to catch this. Is the difference that you would normally tell your team member to change, is it detrimental to the cause or just detrimental to your ego? There have been times in all areas of my life where I'm like, you know what, dude? If we could go back and do that again, I probably would have changed that little thing, but I chose not to because I wanted my team member to win. I wanted them to come to me with something they've been working hard at and be like, dude, pat on the shoulder. Incredible job, man. You're doing so good. Hey, let's push it out. I'm not going to change a thing. And it might go against, like, if I could tweak it, I probably would. But you know what? I'm not here to build my ego. I'm here to build leaders. So I'm going to look for ways to let my preference go aside. Now, if it's something that's, bad, it's going to go against our cause, there's really some serious reasons. And of course, we've got to make some changes. But in those moments, you got to ask yourself, I want to change this, but do I want to change it because it's bad for the cause or because it's bad for my ego? This is huge, 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 huge. Another tip that I really think can stop you from being a domineering leader, honestly, is just asking questions. Hey, I've got an idea. I want to bring an idea to my team, but I'm not just going to bring an idea and say, this is my idea. We're going to do it. Get to work. Get it done. I'm going to bring an idea and I'm going to say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Have we got a donut coming in? The $30 donut! Let's go, baby. Leadership tip number 4. Buy a penguin suit. Dab. Oh my goodness gracious. Let's go, baby. Ash and Light. Oh, hey, it's Monday. God bless. $30, man. Did you just single-handedly finish the dono bar? No, we didn't. So close, man. Thank you so much for bringing us a little bit closer to reaching that dono bar. I love you, man. You're a next level champ. Appreciate you, Ash, and hope your weekend was great, dude. And this is a great way to not be a domineering leader. Don't just go to your teams. Don't just go to the people that are following you and say, hey, I've got an idea. Get it done. But try this on for a change. Hey, guys, I've got an idea that I'd really like for us to do. Hey, what are your thoughts? What do you think? What are your input? So one, this does a few things. This shows your team that, wow, like, he's asking my opinion? Like, my opinion matters? Like, he actually trusts that I have good input? Yes, I trust you. Here's the reality. Here's the blunt honesty. If I didn't think you were good, I wouldn't have brought you on my team. That's just right. If you're bringing people that you don't trust in your team, why even bring them on your team in the first place? Get people that you trust, that you love, and that you respect, and that you want to encourage. Domineering leaders push people down. Encouraging leaders bring people up. Hey, I've got this idea. What's your input? But here's the beauty. Not only are you going to help your team to feel like, hey, I matter. Hey, my opinion is actually good. But the reality is, it's forcing you to be humble, realizing that you're not always going to have the best ideas. Your team might have better ideas than you. There have been plenty of things that we've launched here at God Squad Church, and then I've come with an idea. I'm like, hey, guys, I got this idea. And, sometimes it's an idea, and we're going to do it. Sometimes it's an idea, and it's a starting point. Guys, here's the foundation. How can we build on this? Hey, Seraph, what's your input, dude? Hey, Blade, man, what are you thinking about this? Pastor Bonds, how can we tweak this and make it better? And they'll end up coming up with things to make the foundation into a massive great program system, whatever it may be. And it's an idea that I never would have thought of. Just never, no matter how long I tried, no matter how long I thought and prayed, and God didn't give me the idea. And here's the reality. Sometimes as a leader, you got to trust this, that sometimes God won't give you the idea. He'll give it to one of your teammates, someone who's following you. Why? Because God wants community. God wants trust. Humble yourself. Realize you don't always have the best ideas. Get in the habit of asking this question. I have an idea. What are your thoughts? What are your input? Leader number 1, leaders are unpredictable, and they produce hesitant followers. I don't really know. I don't really believe it. Is he really going to follow through with it? He says one thing, does another. Number 2, domineering leaders produce compliant followers. They're not thinking for themselves. They're just your slaves. They're doing whatever you tell them. They don't respect you. They just fear you. And number 3, last one for today. Going to try to run through this quick. Trying to stick in that 20-minute time to respect your time. Secretive leaders. Secretive leaders produce guarded followers. Here's some things that a secret leader would say. Man, you're just not important enough to know this information. This is only for the top people. Man, you wouldn't be able to handle this kind of stuff even if I told you. And what does this do? Shows your team you don't trust them. You don't trust them. Here's the reality. If you don't trust your team, how do you expect your team to trust you? Trust is extended. Trust is also given, and it's given in return. When you give trust, you will receive trust. What does the Bible teach? You will reap what you sow. If you do not trust the team that are around you, you've got to have trust in your team. You've got to understand that your team needs to have each other's back. Your team got to have each other's back. A great man, great leader says this. Simon Sinek, it's in the notes if you're looking along. If you haven't gotten the notes, they're in the chat for you. You guys keep those for your own looking. I'll give these to you guys every single week. He says this, Simon Sinek, a team is not a group of people who just work together. It's a team is a group of people who trust each other. I'm going to say that again. A team is not just a group of people who work together. A team is a group of people who trust each other. That means that I've got your back, you've got my back, right? Here's something that I think is crucial for leaders to do. If I've got someone on my team and they might drop the ball hardcore. They might blow it. They might do something that's out of line. Here's the reality. And let me give you a scenario, right? One of my team members does something that he probably should not have done. I haven't heard about it yet. Somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, your guy did this." Yada 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 yada. You know what I'm gonna say? "Hey, I apologize if there's been any confusion or anything on your end. I will definitely speak with my person, find out more information, and I'll definitely get back to you." I'm gonna give my teammate.